One thing that I always get over the last 10 years of me doing rehab time is people not knowing their worth, right? Or AKA not feeling like they're enough. And a guy on Instagram Live just asked me that question. He's like, what do I do when I feel like I'm not enough? And so I always ask people this question. If you came to any of my events this year, you know I've asked this. I said, what is enough? Like, what's your definition of enough? And 9 times out of 10, the people who feel like they're not enough don't even know what enough is, right? They don't have a definition for enough. What that means is that if you don't know what enough is, you're accepting someone else's definition of enough, right? And a lot of our problems come from external things, right? We let the things outside of us affect the things inside of us. Example, we let how people feel about us change how we feel about ourselves, right? We let people make us feel like we're not worthy, and then we start to feel like we're not worthy. We let not just people, we let things, situations, habits, all of that. And so I feel like personally enough is how you were created to be, period. It's how you're created to be. You know, enough is not, a bank account. It's not followers. It's not a relationship. You're enough because God created you enough. And you have to really believe that and own that. Like everything else is just extra credit. Extra credit. And a lot of us, we measure our life, right, by the world standards. We measure our life by comparing our life. We measure our life by Instagram followers. We measure our life by how many people show up at our events. We measure our life by all of these things. And the more we measure our life, the more we're teaching ourselves to feel like we're not enough. Because I'm going to tell you something. Even when you get enough, I promise you that enough will only last for a short time. And enough will only last for a short time. And then you're going to feel like you need more, you need more, you need more, you need more. And you're always going to feel depressed because you feel like you can never obtain, right, that enough. And so think about that. Every time you say you're not enough, ask yourself, okay, well, what is enough? And why do I feel like that? And so what I want to talk about today is just 2 things that I realized that have really helped my life when it comes to knowing your worth or knowing my worth. I talk about that a lot. I've been talking about that everybody talks about know your worth, right? But what does that really mean? Like knowing your worth. I feel like personally that God gave us worth at birth, period. Like you are incredible. And when you truly see that and own that and feel it, and like I said, it's hard to see it. It's hard to feel it when you're looking at your life, when you're looking at yourself through the eyes of someone who can care less about you, period. And a lot of us, we're in those situations, right? We will never feel like we're not enough. We'll never feel like we have worth because we're in environments that make us feel like we're not worthy. We're in environments that tear us down, not build us up. We're in environments that make us feel like we're less. So you're always going to feel like less trying to change for someone who wouldn't change for you. You're always going to feel like less seeing yourself through the eyes of someone who could care less about you. When people say they don't know, they don't feel like they have worth or they're not enough, it's because 9 times out of 10, it's because of something external, right? And what do I always tell you guys? You might not be in control of what someone tries to give you, but you are in control of what you accept. Stop giving people the permission. Stop giving people the power to control how you feel about you. Because at the end of the day, no matter what people say, no matter what people do, you don't have to accept those things. I get it. It's a lot easier said than done. I get it. We're human beings. When things are said, it doesn't feel good. But that's why I always tell you, got to remind yourself of the facts about life. So when people throw me feelings, how they feel about me, I remind myself of my facts. And so my facts dismiss how they feel about me. So I don't get in my feelings because of how someone feels about me, because I know the facts of my life, right? I have these standards. I know my values. I know what I'm not going to settle for. So it makes life easy for me because these things are my facts. So I don't have to worry about people throwing feelings at me to get me in my feelings. Okay, so back to work. I'm getting off track here, but I'm going to stay on track. Back to work. I'm going to read some notes that I have because they're very, very powerful. When it comes to work, I feel like it's 2 things, right? They write these things down. We're only going to talk about one today. We're only going to talk about acceptance, but I feel like worth is made up of the acceptance of self and the confidence of self. And so we'll talk about confidence later on this week, maybe if I can get back on here. But let's talk about acceptance of self. What does acceptance mean in a dictionary? Acceptance means embracing something in all aspects, being in complete agreement with, giving your full support of approval. So in my words, I would say you being good with you, period. You knowing that you're enough, like full support. So even in your perfections, you know you're enough. Even in your imperfections, you know you're enough, period. Not just when you at your best, right? You know you're enough when you're at your best, and you know you're enough when you're at your quote unquote worst. Not just with the gains, but also the losses, right? You have accepted yourself, because when you accept yourself, period, nobody can use anything against you. When you accept, when you say, you know what, I'm good with my past. Yep, that's what I used to do. That's what I used to be. I'm good with it. Because guess what? I grew from that. And a lot of us, we don't accept who we are. We judge who we are, right? It's time for you to stop judging yourself, and it's time for you to start loving yourself. Acceptance is power. All right, it's power. Write this down. Write it down, okay? I'm going to say this twice. Because when you accept yourself, you free yourself. When you accept yourself, you free yourself. You're no longer a prisoner of your past. You're no longer a prisoner of opinions. You're no longer a prisoner of failure. Like I said, some of us, our life is paralyzed because of opinions. Our life is paralyzed because of our past. Our life is paralyzed because of failure. Your life is no longer controlled by your limitations. When you accept yourself, when you realize acceptance is power, your life is no longer controlled by your limitations because it's being guided by your aspirations. And there's a quote by a woman named Tina Linford. I don't know her, but I found this quote and it's very, very powerful. She says, when you know yourself, you become empowered. When you accept yourself, you become invincible. When you know yourself, you become empowered. When you accept yourself, you become invincible. So people ask, Trent, where do you get your confidence from? Right? Where do you get your confidence from? Because I've accepted myself. I'm good with me. Right? I know I can grow. I know I can get better. That doesn't mean I can't grow as a person, but I've accepted myself. I'm good with myself. So I'm confident. I'm comfortable in my own skin. Not just comfortable in my own skin. I'm confident in my own skin. I'm confident in my own skin. Right? So why? Because I've accepted myself. Acceptance of self is the foundation for your greatness. All right? And I'm going to tell you why. 3 reasons why. Okay? I'm going to tell you what acceptance of self promotes and it helps. And write these 3 things down. I'm going to get off of here for tonight. If y'all feeling this, press the heart button, press the like button. I know I don't usually go through notes, but this is coach me, right? If you ever want me to coach you and things like that, this is what I do. We actually break it down. We dive in deep, right? Because a lot of times we attack surface level issues and we try to create surface level solutions, and which is not bad, but you got to understand something. If you attack things at the surface level and not at the root level, guess what happens? The problem, the situation, the depression, whatever it may be, will find its way back to the surface. Because it's like going to cut off like a flower, right? You don't get down to the root. You just cut off the leaves or whatever it may be, right? You just cut that off. Of course, it's going to grow right back once water hits it. Or like weeds, right? Weeds in your grass. I can't stand weeds. But if you don't get and pull those weeds out, those weeds will find its way back to the surface. It's the same thing with our life. So 3 things before we get out of here tonight. Number 1, acceptance of self influences freedom. There's no greater freedom than freely being yourself. It's incredible when you can go from being a prisoner of your past to being empowered by your past. It's incredible when you can go from hating who you are, from being disgusted with who you are, to loving who you are. I know how that feels personally. It's incredible when you can go from that. That's called progression, right? It's incredible when you can go from the worst you to your best you. A life without limitations. Oh, man. And I just hope that y'all get this. A life without limitations is a life full of elevation. A life without limitations is a life full of elevation. Some of us, we've accepted life. Some of us are living life with a limited version of ourselves, like straight up. And sometimes we don't even know it. We don't even know it. That's why I say, go try something you've never done before, because you will see how much limitations you put on yourself. You're a lot more powerful, a lot more capable, right, than you actually give yourself credit for. So a lot of us, we're living a limited version of ourselves. Just imagine if we lived a life being our greatest selves, if we live life being the best version of ourselves, just think about that for a minute. What does that look like? Some of us don't even know. Like, some of us don't even have a vision to that. And that's where it starts, with a vision, right? So what's that vision of that? You living your best life. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What you around? What are you doing? When I do my speeches, it's the first thing that I tell people. Like, envision it. How does it feel? What environment are you in? Because if you have no roadmap, your vision creates the roadmap for you. Your vision isn't enough, right? Having a vision is not going to make the vision come true. You have to put in the work and do the process. But your vision is your destination point, right? We need a destination to guide us through life, to guide our path. So think about that for a second, right? What's your vision of living your greatest life? Just imagine your dreams without limitation, right? Just imagine your life without limit. Just imagine your relationships without limitation. How much different would your life be if you were able to live free? I know you can imagine it, but don't just fall in love with imagining it. After you imagine it, get real with yourself, get raw. Because trust me, this was a vision for me being here at one point in my life. And I thought to myself, it's not going to happen. It's just a vision. But I'm living my vision. You hear me? I'm living it. And I get passionate when I talk about this stuff, man, because I'm not a person that somebody gave a handout to. I'm living it. And let that be inspiration to you. It's nothing special about me. Okay? Only thing special about me is I decided to live the purpose, and I own myself that God had for my life, and I own myself and I accepted myself. That's it. But I want you guys to feel that. Like, I want you guys, like, I hope that you feel that when you meet me, when you see me in person, that's like, man, like, this dude is just a regular dude that just decided to, like, own himself, that just decided to say enough was enough. That's it. That's it. Okay? The second thing. So, number one, acceptance influences freedom. Number two, I got to hurry up. Acceptance influences focus. It's a lot easier to grow yourself when you're not doubting yourself. What you focus on, I guarantee you, is what you feel. If you focus on a limited life, you will live a limited life. If you focus on everything is bad, everything is everybody's fault, I promise you, your life will reflect that. I tell y'all the process all the time. How you see life is how you see life is how you feel about life. How you feel about life is what you do with life. What you do with life is what you get from life. The quality of your life is determined by your focus. If you have poor focus, I promise you, your life is going to seem very poor, right? And I'm not talking about monetary, right? That's not the poor and rich I talk about, because you can have a lot in your bank account but still have a poor life. I'm talking about internal. I'm talking about peace. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about loving who you are. I'm talking about being happy inside. I'm talking about your soul, right? Those things, right? The quality of your life is determined by your focus. If you're focused on your limitations, you're going to live a very limited life. If you're focused on your progressions, you're going to live a very progressive life. Your life is controlled by what you focus on. And I get it. I know it's easier said than done. Some of y'all thinking, Trent, you don't understand my situation. Like, you don't get it. You don't know what I'm going through. And I just want to tell you this. Listen, I do get it. And I want to tell you this just straight up and point blank to you. Like, what you're going through is what you're going through. What you're accepting is what you're accepting. But at the end of the day, you don't have to accept it no more. You're accepting it because you're accepting it. You get that, right? As I always tell you, what people can give you, the world can try to give you whatever, but you ain't got to accept it. A lot of us, like I said, we've accepted a limited version of ourselves. We've accepted that. Whether it was life that gave it to us, whether it was people that gave it to us, we accepted that. And we own that. We own that false identity. We owned it. And now we're living it. Now we feel like it. You don't have to accept it. When people try to throw stuff at me, I don't accept it. Like I talked about earlier, facts over feelings. Nope. I don't have to accept what you're trying to give me. Life, I don't have to accept what you're trying to give me. The enemy, I don't have to accept what you're trying to give me. You can try all that you want because I can't stop you from trying, but I sure can stop you from controlling my life. I sure can stop accepting certain things, right? Where we're at today in our lives is nothing but the things that we have accepted in our lives. And the beautiful thing about that is we have the power to control that, okay? So number two was what? Acceptance influences focus. Number one was acceptance influences freedom. The third thing, acceptance is fluent. And like I said, remember, acceptance is a part of knowing your worth. The third thing is acceptance influences faith. Faith is not something. Faith is everything. It's literally everything. And my definition of faith is believing a door is going to open that don't even exist. I always tell the story. When I went to South Africa and people asked me, are you surprised that you're in South Africa? I said, no, I'm not surprised, because once I realized that God gave me this purpose to live, this is the avenue for me to live my best life, for my life to be used in the best way. Once I realized that, I had visions of being here before my body ever showed up. So no, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised when I went to Fiji. I'm not surprised when I went to Auckland. I'm not surprised. I'm not. To be real with you. And it's not no arrogant stuff. It's because God already showed me, I already had the vision. So when I walked over there, it was just about me. It's about me closing the gap from my vision and my reality. And I just kept working. I kept praying. I kept working on myself. I kept being consistent. I kept being committed, right? I changed my circle. I got around growth mindsets. I changed my perspective. Bang. And then guess what? My reality is my vision. My reality is my vision. I closed the gap. I closed the gap. And a lot of us, we don't close the gap because we're not willing to put in the work to close the gap. So I'm not surprised, right? That's faith. That's faith. When I left football and I wasn't getting paid to speak, wasn't nobody watching no videos. Like, y'all see it now. A lot of y'all just came on. But to the people that's been rocking with me since 2008, when I made that decision with RehabTime, 2009, 2010, go watch my videos on YouTube. You'll see it. Wasn't nobody watching that at that time. You know, of course, after stuff went viral, people started to pick up. But when I made my decision to leave football, when I made my decision to say I'm stop pursuing this wasn't a life for me. Like, football was how I got paid, right? RehabTime, I couldn't live my life through RehabTime at all. But I knew that this was what I was. And I didn't care about, even if I had to struggle the rest of my life living my purpose, I was good with it, because the feeling that it brings me, the truth that it brings me, the peace that it brings me is worth anything else in the world. It's way worth doing anything else. Way worth it. But I stepped out on faith. And I'm not telling you to go leave your job today, because I don't want y'all to hit me up saying, Trent, you told me to step out on faith and now I don't got no job. I need a job from you. I'm not telling you that. Okay. But when I knew the calling was this, I said, I'm not pursuing that no more. And my life changed over half a year for sure. My life changed. And I went from a vision to reality. Third thing, okay? Acceptance influences faith. Where there's a lack of faith, there's a lack of life. A faithful life, where there's a lack of faith, there's a lack of life. Okay, period. A fulfilled life is a faithful life. An empty life is a faithless life. Write this down. Write all that down. If you don't accept yourself, you're not going to believe in yourself. That's facts. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to better yourself. That's facts. But when you believe that there's more to your life, you'll end up becoming more in life. When you believe that there's more to your life, as I've always talked about, fall in love with what if. When you believe that there's more to your life, you'll end up becoming more in life, right? When you put in the work. Of course, you have to put in the work, like we always talk about. Faith is everything. In order for us to live our highest capabilities, we must see beyond what we see visually. Some of us, we only believe what we can see. Some of us, but you know what's crazy is that we have faith in the negative so easily. Like, people be like, I'm never gonna change my life. Like, that's faith. That's negative faith. You telling yourself what your life is gonna be before you ever even try to progress your life. Like, seeing the negative is easy. That's easy. But just as you can see the negative and preach the negative on your life and speak the negative on your life, guess what? You have that same power, that same ability to see the positive, to see the growth, to speak positivity over your life, to pray over your life. These are things that you can do. All right. And I've realized with my life that things become more clear when you're not blinded by your insecurities, when you're not blinded by your fears, when you're not blinded by opinions, when you're not blinded by doubt, when you're not blinded by worry, when you're not blinded by your past. Things become more clear when you're not blinded by your insecurities. All right. So what I need you to do tonight, it's Sunday, new week. It's almost about to be October. Listen, you have the ability to say tonight, tomorrow is a new beginning. I'm turning the page. I don't care about my past chapters. I don't care about what I did in the past. That's what I did. I don't care about what I accepted. That's done with. But from here on out, I'm going to live my greatest life. I'm going to progress to be the greatest me I can be. But that's the decision you got to make. As I always tell you, inspiration isn't enough. It's a great start. We all need it. But if you stop with this, if you do nothing to apply anything of this to your life, you do nothing to dive in deep and say, okay, how can I apply the things that I just heard today? What's one thing that I can talk about? Okay, what's acceptance for me? Let me get clarity on that. Like, what am I allowing externally to determine my worth? How can I change that? What's the facts of my life, right? How did God create me? These are conversations that you have to have with yourself, period. Have to have with yourself. Like I said, we live in a time where people just want inspiration. That's it. People just want to feel good moment. You just want to feel good for the moment. I'm going to tell you something. If you just want to feel good for the moment, that's great. But feel goods don't change lives. Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to work when you don't feel good. You got to be able to go on when you don't feel good. You got to be able to stay committed through inconvenience. That's what creates change in your life. That's facts. That's facts. Inconvenience always exposes someone's commitment. Always exposes someone's commitment. So I want you to think about that. Do the work. And these are things that when I coach people, we dive in deep, right? We dive in levels deep. We get down to the root issues because it's very important that you actually make these changes. Because I can make videos all day about spoken words and make you feel good and things like that. And I'm never going to stop doing that because I feel like it's very powerful. It's very impactful. But also there comes a point when you have to sit down and do the work in your life. You have to sit down and say, okay, this is going to be a process. This is not going to be a day change. My life's not going to change in a day. My life's not going to change in a month. But my life is going to change day by day, if that makes sense, right? That's what I always say. Give yourself 12 months. You know, it's just like your body goals, right? Just because you want to get in shape don't mean you can work out hard tomorrow. You can go to the gym tomorrow and work out hard. You can run all the miles you want. But you're not going to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds. And if you do, it's water weight. It's bad for you. But it's progression. Over time, you can, though. But a lot of people don't want the application part. A lot of us, we don't want to apply. If you would only put consistent actions behind your Facebook posts, your world would look totally different. Stop living for likes and go live the life. And that's facts. We live in a generation now where we get so caught up in Facebook. And nothing wrong with it because social media changed my life. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for social media. But I put in work offline, right? I put in work offline. There's nothing wrong with posting things online, inspiration online. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But just make sure that you don't fall in love with just posting it. Because just posting it might impress other people. You might get a lot of likes or whatever, but that's not going to change your life, okay? Period. I always say people with followers, people always are so lost in followers. I say, well, go to the store and try to buy groceries with followers. See how that works. You know, we get so caught up in this online life. Not saying it's not real because it is real. It's a reflection of who you are. And it changed my life, right? Because I'm able to reach people that I would never be able to reach. But at the end of the day, you can't get so caught up in just inspiration and feel good and telling people what you're going to do and all this stuff that you're going to change, right? It's going to come because New Year's is almost here. We're going to see a lot of that. Nothing wrong with it. But just make sure that you don't fall in love with the inspiration. Make sure you fall in love with the application too, okay? Make sure you fall in love with the application because knowledge is pointless without application. You can know all the things in the world. You can be the smartest person in the world. But if you can't convert those knowings into doings, your life is not going to change. That's just facts. All right. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. You guys are enough. Stop telling yourself that you're not enough because a lot of us, we're telling ourselves that we're not enough. We don't even know what enough is. So get your definition of enough first and realize that you are enough. Break the ruler in your life, whatever you're measuring your life by, whether it's a ruler of comparison, whether it's a ruler of opinions, whether it's a ruler of society standards on how you got to look, how you got to be, break that ruler, right? Break it. Stop measuring your life and start appreciating your life. Stop measuring your life and start appreciating your life. I cannot stress that enough because the more expectations you put on yourself, and I want to be clear, there's healthy expectations, right? I don't like to use the word expectation, but I want to be clear. I want y'all to be like, oh, you can't grow yourself. There's healthy goals. There's healthy expectations. But a lot of us, we live by these negative expectations, right? We live by expectations that have been given to us by society, that has been feeded to us by people, right? Or we try to meet other people's expectations, and we live a very depressed life because we're sitting here trying to be something that we were not created to become. All right. And that's a bad way to live life. I've been there. Speaking for myself, I've been there, and it's a bad way to live life. Bad way to live life. So I broke the rulers in my life, and I prioritize peace. I prioritize prayer. I'm trying to think of another P word I prioritize. Yeah, I'll think of that later. All right. But I prioritize those things in my life, family, love, all of those things. Those are my standards and my values. I live by that. But I gotta get out of here. I appreciate it. Let's get it.